Okay, Oxford United were playing Arsenal at the Kassam Stadium in the third round of the FA Cup, the last tie to kick off, although we do know there's going to be some replays. This is the last tie of the third round. It's finished 3-0 to Arsenal, but for the first half and for a large portion of the second half, Arsenal looked a bit vulnerable, a little bit off colour. And yes, Mikel Arteta has rotated the squad, bearing in mind, obviously, their league campaign is going really, really well. They're top of the league. This time last year in the FA Cup, Arsenal fell flat uh, against Nottingham Forest and were soundly embarrassed. The change in confidence and form of this team in 12 months has been outstanding, and I think Mikel Arteta, he's stuck with his processes, he's stuck with his vision. The players are bought in, and the fruits are their rewards. Basically, they're rewarded with being top of the league, and their squad players are playing a lot better and with more confidence now than what they were before. So Mikel his patience has been rewarded with the systems he's put in place. However, tonight, with all those squad changes, it did affect the rhythm of Arsenal a little bit, and Arsenal were vulnerable to a potential upset. You're thinking the longer it went on at 0-0, Oxford United could nick a goal or two and embarrass Arsenal. And then the free kick comes where Mohamed El Neni scores his goal. And after that, Arsenal calmed down. They scored 2 more goals through Nketiah. And it's a comfortable 3-0 scoreline. And there's that 10 to 15 minute period in the second half where the game goes from a nervy 0-0 to a comfortable 3-0 win for Arsenal. That's the sign of a good side when they're not playing well. They can still, have that spell, get the result, and Oxford United were making things uncomfortable for them. They were breaking up the play, they were making the challenges, and they were making Arsenal a bit nervy. And I think Arsenal played into their hands by not playing with energy, pace, and intensity. And I think the one weakness with Arsenal is they look a little bit soft in midfield. They don't really have that gnarly Patrick Vieira type who Granit Xhaka maybe, but he didn't start. But Granit Xhaka is not on a Vieira level. Let's be brutally honest. He's a decent player on his day, but he's not on a Vieira level. They do lack that kind of Emmanuel Petit, Patrick Vieira type box-to-box midfielder who's also world class. With that tenacity and that Steve Bold tenacity and gnarliness and a little bit of nastiness, I think that's their one weakness is they lack in that area. And they were looking a little bit vulnerable this evening. But they get the first goal. The 2 other goals from Nketiah on 70 and 76 minutes go in, and the game's comfortable. And then they just ease off the accelerator a little bit, and make sure there's no silly injuries, no silly yellow or red cards, that kind of thing. And they get through the game. Oxford, they had an opportunity when Arsenal were still a bit unsettled. I felt in the first 64 minutes if they get that first goal, then we'll see how Arsenal respond. So they didn't get that first goal. So a nervy Arsenal weren't tested. But once Arsenal settled, sign of good side that the depth players got confidence, got comfortable on the ball. You can see what Arsenal are trying to do as well with their style of play. They're not trying to play the perfect goal. I mean, Nketiah's first goal is brilliant from Vieira. Yeah, not that Vieira, the new Vieira. Wins the ball back, quick release of the pass. Nketiah, he's got the pace. Rounds the keeper. Nice confident finish. His second goal's pretty good as well. But the Mohamed El Neni depth scoring is what I think's also held Arsenal back in recent years. He hasn't scored for the best part of 4 years. That was a very well taken free kick and a very well taken finish, and the run as well. The run into the box makes the goal as well because he's not picked up by a marker, and I think that when you've got a player like that who doesn't score regularly, opening the scoring, other players go, well, if he can do it, I can do it. I score more regularly. Why is he doing it? And it raises players' games a little bit, and it sets a standard. And I think Arteta can be happy that they got through a difficult encounter. Again, no injuries, no silly bookings or red cards, so they got through a very difficult encounter tonight against Oxford. But I think there's still a few areas that Arsenal can improve on. I think intensity from the first whistle, I think, is an area where they looked a little bit suspect tonight. Pace of passing, movement off the ball, and yes, squad rotation is part of the modern game. Maybe Arteta made a few too many changes for this game that could have backfired. I think he will, as he's still learning his managerial trade as a first team manager, not an assistant. I think he will learn those lessons as well. And I think obviously coming up against Man City in the fourth round is going to be interesting, as they are now the top two. Newcastle obviously having crashed out, and both Man City and Arsenal have had comfortable wins in the third round, and yeah, Arsenal have that little bit of a cushion over Man City in the league, but that's going to be a proper litmus test to see where Arsenal are really at. And of course, Arsenal have less fixture congestion than Manchester City with not being in Europe this season, so we'll see what lineup Arteta puts out in the fourth round. Will there be some squad rotation by both sides, or will both Guardiola, the master, and Arteta, his apprentice, would they both pull out full strength sides? Because I want to see Haaland and Saka go on their head to head. I want to see Haaland against the Arsenal defence, and I want to see Saka, Martinelli, and co against the Man City defence, and see which attacking force comes out on top against which defence. So there we go, Arsenal through to the fourth round. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll have some more videos for you soon.